So this guy has a problem. His wife is cheating on him with a much younger man, and he's about to go handle it with a pew-pew. Now the guy, his name's Matthew, and Matthew's around 37, and he's living in Michigan, and so Matthew's wife is smashing with another dude. Now his wife is this woman, Kimberly. Kimberly's 40, and one day in 2012, Kimberly's out at a bar with some friends for her 40th birthday, and that is when she meets this guy, Danny. And Danny's 27, so he's a little younger than her. Regardless, Kimberly thinks Danny is fine, and Danny thinks she kinda fine. And so they hit it off, and eventually they start secretly smashing on the side regularly. And 3 years go by, and it's now 2015, and Kimberly and Danny are still secretly smashing. But one day, Matthew finds out about her cheating. I'm not exactly sure how he finds out, but he does, and he's pissed off, and he's hurt, and rightfully so. However, he doesn't leave her. Instead, he goes and he confronts her, and he's like, if you really love me, then you'll end it with that guy. And she's like, okay, fine. And she ends it with Danny. Except, she doesn't really end it with Danny. Instead, they low-key keep their affair going, and they keep smashing whenever they can. While at the same time, both of them are just living their lives like normal. Kimberly is still married to Matthew, and Danny, he even gets engaged to another woman. And to make it worse, Kimberly is even secretly paying off some of Danny's credit card debt with money earned from her and Matthew's family business, which is just diabolical. But whatever, I guess Matthew has no clue this cheating is still going on, and so Kimberly and Danny, they keep doing it. And it seems like they may never get caught. Until 7 years go by, and it's now 2022. And Matthew, he's now 46 years old. And one day, boom, a friend of Matthew's gives him some terrible news. He tells him that Kimberly is apparently still cheating on him with that same guy, Danny. And at this point, their side affair has been going on for 9.5 years total. And of course, Matthew is angry and he's devastated. And so he goes to her and he finally gives her an ultimatum. Break it off with that Danny guy for good, or I'm filing for divorce. And Kimberly, she's like, no! And she promises this time she'll break it off for good. And about a month later, one night, Matthew and Kimberly are talking. And they've apparently been drinking all day and doing a little Coca-Cola, and so they're pretty wasted. And so he asks her, hey, how did Danny take the news when you broke up with him? And Kimberly tells him that she never actually broke it off with Danny. And again, Matthew is like, what the f***? His wife just keeps playing him. And so Kimberly is like, okay, fine. I'll break up with him. Let's just go over to his house right now and I'll break up with him right in front of you. And Matthew's like, all right, let's go. But before he leaves, he grabs a pew-pew. Meanwhile, Danny, he's at home in his garage, and he apparently has no idea that these two are about to show up to his house. 15 minutes later, Matthew and Kimberly pull up, and they get out, and Danny's garage is open, so they just walk right in, and this causes a whole scene.
Get out of here, bro. No. Get out of here. Danny. I'll blow Danny. Get out of here. Danny. I'll blow.
Stay away from my wife!
Now at some point, Matthew pulls out his firearm, and in response, Danny pulls out his, and blam, he fires a warning shot into the air way over Matthew's head. And so then Matthew shoots back at Danny, blam, and a bullet flies and it hits him in the foot. And I guess Danny fires back again and he misses. Then Danny's like, oh sh**, and he takes off running out of the garage, limping around to the other side of his house, while Matthew follows him with his firearm still drawn and he's chasing him. And blam, Matthew fires at Danny again. This time, Danny gets hit in the knee. But he keeps running to a different side of the house. And he yells something that I don't quite understand.
Sasha! Ah! Never!
But he is able to get into his car where he gets a different pew-pew. I guess these people just keep their firearms like everywhere. Meanwhile, Matthew runs back over to where Kimberly is and you can see them both freaking out.
Who else has a gun here? Get out of here, let's go! Who else has a gun here? Let's go!
And so I guess Matthew realizes that there are more people on the property than just Danny and that they better leave because all these people might be armed. And so they both jump into their SUV, and Kimberly puts it in reverse as they try and get the hell out of there. And as they're backing up, Matthew looks out the window and he sees Danny again. And so he rolls that window down and he starts blasting. Blam, blam. And bullets are just flying by Danny. And he has that new pew-pew that he got from his car. And so he aims it back at Matthew and blam, he fires a shot. And that bullet flies through the air, through the windshield of the SUV, and it hits Kimberly in her neck. And she is instantly unalived. And from here, several people call 911 and a bunch of officers, fully armed, show up, ready to figure out what the f*** is going on.
Sheriff Watt! Sheriff Watt! Show me your hands! On the ground, on the ground! On the ground! Face up!
And eventually, paramedics show up too, and they take Danny out on a stretcher. Meanwhile, Matthew, he wasn't shot at all. And so, bam, they arrest him. Here's his mugshot. And so when they take Matthew in and they question him, he tells police everything. Like he tells them about the affair Kimberly and Danny were having.
I found out about it 6.5 years ago, and I found out about it again 45 days ago.
He tells them about pulling up to Danny's house.
And we pull up, her and I get out of the car. As soon as I get out of the car, he comes out of the garage, like this, like a police officer, right at my face. And I put my hands up.
And he tells them about trying to leave Danny's property.
And I pulled my firearm and I started shooting at him. He ran this way. I said, Kim, get in the car. We got in the car, we were backing out, and he shot my wife.
But maybe most importantly, he describes that initial moment in the garage.
And he looked over, and that's all I needed, man. I got behind that car, I grabbed my firearm, I came over the hood, and I just started shooting. And he scurried towards the front of the house. I didn't go after him. I said, Kim, get in the car, let's go.
Now he says, I didn't go after him.
I didn't go after him. I said, Kim, get in the car, let's go.
But Danny's security footage clearly shows Matthew going after him and chasing him as he was trying to retreat. But anyway, eventually all of this goes to court. And even though Danny was the one who fired the shot that unalived Kimberly, ultimately Matthew is found guilty of manslaughter. Because they found that he's the one who brought Kimberly into this dangerous situation while he was armed and ready for a confrontation. And because he entered into Danny's garage, which I guess they count that as a home invasion. And so Danny gets no prison time, in fact, no punishment at all. While Matthew, he gets 7 to 15 years for voluntary manslaughter and 12 to 40 years for assault with intent to murder. That is insane. Hey, just reminding you that my entire catalog of true crime videos is now on Spotify. So if you want to listen to me over there, it's called the Ray William Johnson True Story Podcast.